2018 Buick Regal. Great intentions, mediocre results. That said, I'm not nearly as positive about the rest of the Regal's interior. It appears nice to the eye, and all of the vehicle's controls are organized in a simple, logical fashion. But most of the materials are downright lousy, way below what you would reasonably expect in a car that costs $36,000 as tested. The dashboard and door panels are covered in this kinda soft touch material that feels more like rubber than anything else, with fake detail stitching, for some reason, and the plastics used on lower door and dash panels are bad to look at and worse to touch. There are strange panel fitments and surprisingly sharp edges. I shaved off a bit of skin when I simply ran my hand over this gap on the transmission tunnel to the left of the shifter. Thanks. That's not all. The seats are comfortable, but the material feels like vinyl, not real leather. And in fact, the leather on the steering wheel feels like an entirely different material. The wood accents are laughably fake. The turn signal and wiper stocks are some of the cheapest I've ever touched. I'm pretty sure GM has been using these for at least 2 decades. There's a horrible thunk from the steering tilt, telescope release. Buick's 8-inch Anti-Link touchscreen infotainment system looks a generation behind the times and is relatively slow to respond. But thankfully, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto functionality is standard on all trims. I'll give Buick the benefit of the doubt. The Regal isn't officially on sale yet, so these might be pre-production test cars, and the cabin is very hushed, the company's quiet tuning efforts in full effect, including insulated tires that actively keep road noise from entering the cabin. Honestly, though, I know Buick, GM can do better. I rode in an Enclave on the way to the airport following my Regal test, and it was great. At least the Regal's driving dynamics prove there's some enjoyment to be found from behind the wheel. All Regal Sportback models use GM's EcoTech 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4, and it's a refined, powerful engine. Both front and all-wheel drive are available, and there are benefits to either configuration. With front drive, you get 250 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, and a new 9-speed automatic transmission, which helps the Regal get 22 miles per gallon city, 32 miles per gallon highway, and 26 miles per gallon combined. The all-wheel drive car uses an 8-speed automatic transmission, and while you do get an additional 35 pound-feet of torque, not to mention better all-weather grip, fuel economy ratings drop to 21 miles per gallon city, 29 miles per gallon highway, and 24 miles per gallon combined. Along the winding roads of Texas Hill Country, the Regal is both smooth and spirited, eager to be tossed into a bend now and then, but refined and composed while doing so. There's ample power from the 2.0-liter engine, and in the front drive car, I don't get the sense that I'm missing the extra 35 pounds-to-foot of the AWD setup. Power comes on progressively, with very little in the way of turbo lag, and both 8 and 9-speed transmissions are programmed to keep the engine humming in the peak of its power band. Shifts are executed smoothly, and while the 8-speed can often find itself dim-witted during a sudden demand in acceleration, the 9-speed transmission never exhibits any sluggishness. Similarly, the Regal's handling characteristics are worthy of faint praise. There's little roll, and on the up and down whoop-de-dos outside Austin, the Sportback's body motions are controlled and composed. Brake feel is solid, with progressive weight built under your foot. I could stand to have a slightly better steering tune, with improvements in both weight and communication. But I imagine the vast majority of Regal buyers won't complain. The Sportback configuration is the most compelling part of the Regal package, though that'll soon be overshadowed by the very cool Touareg wagon that arrives next year. And if you dig the Regal because it's nice enough to drive, perhaps you'd rather have the sportier GS, also in the pipeline for 2018. For the time being, the Regal Sportback's party trick of great utility isn't enough to make me recommend it over any other mid-size sedan. And honestly, if huge functionality is one of your must-haves for a new car purchase, you're probably just shopping crossovers anyway. If that's the case, you'll just end up where most Buick buyers have over the past few years, in one of its